All right. I think we're live. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. If anyone in the chat can hear me, just push one. All right, I got a confirmation from the chat. Thank you for the confirmation. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 390, Black Blockchain Talk. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. There's a docket in the description beneath the video for you to follow along with. And we'll get started. I don't think we're going to be doing this very long. I happened to attend an event here in Boston called the IEEE, which is the standards organization for electronics and communication. I'm a member of the IEEE, so I'm going to make the best of my membership by actually demonstrating and reading over some of the documentation that the IEEE went over a few weeks ago. So all right, let's get started, man. Also, if you want to get on the panel and engage the discussion, there will be a link in the chat for you to click on. When you click on the link and you're in the waiting room, just make sure you raise your hand so that one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. Let me take a few seconds to acknowledge the people in the chat. Naima Buckner, good evening to you. Willie Little John, what's going on? Cocaine Kells, good evening to you. Rainy Woman, good evening to you. Mahir Waistro, what's going on? All right, let me get started. Hey, Rose Golden, how are you doing? All right, let me get started. All right. All right, so this is the IEEE.org and the blockchain section. And so this is the standards section for blockchain development underneath the IEEE. So let me read the caption first. The IEEE recognizes the vital role standards will play in the development and adoption of blockchain technologies. IEEE Standards Association, a globally recognized standards setting body within the IEEE, has been actively pursuing blockchain standardization efforts through various activities in multiple industry sectors, including the launch of the world's first Advancing Health Tech for Humanity virtual blockchain workshop. The IEEE Blockchain Initiative will collaborate with the IEEE SA to further develop and progress blockchain and related standards. Recent standards activities related to blockchain include IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials. European Union Forum brings focus on empowering patients. So there are a myriad of active standard projects. So let me go over the standards activities first. All right, so the first item within the standard section is IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials EU forum brings focus on empowering patients. 6 European and international consortia, working groups, and patient advocacies to share developments and perspectives on private and public blockchain pilots. IEEE, the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for humanity, and the IEEE Standards Association, today announced details for the upcoming second edition of the IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials Forum to be held. The forum brings together group leaders from global and European consortia, working groups, in private pharmaceutical company pilots to provide updates on the progress of pilots and implementation of blockchain technology into clinical trials and the research process. The expert speaking faculty includes group leaders from Innovative Medicines Initiative, IMI, Blockchain Enabled Healthcare Topic Group, FUSE, or spelled PHUSE, Blockchain for Healthcare Working Group, and Emblia Global Health Consortium, and other project leaders from multinational pharmaceutical organizations escalating their initiative from evaluation to piloting to implementation. Collectively, these groups will speak to the advancements on proof of concepts, current pilots, and the status of projects being implemented that uniquely positions and empowers the patients at the center of a process where information is donated from patients to initiate a trial and information is returned during the trial. Following our initial forum in February of this year, there's been a growing consensus on the applicability of blockchain in the clinical trial space, explains Maria Pavoni, Director, Emerging Communities and Opportunities Development, IEEE SA. We are now moving the conversation beyond determination of viable use case and bringing committed and passionate leaders together to present findings, lessons learned, and necessary steps to advance the technology's adoption, and doing so with support from 2 different patient advocacy groups advocating blockchain as a means of patient empowerment. The IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials Forum features 3 days of learning, ideation exchange, and collaboration on the technical and appropriate use cases for integrating cutting-edge technology such as blockchain, distributed ledger technology, the Internet of Things, IoT, and artificial intelligence AI to revolutionize the clinical trial process. Participants will play an active role in helping establish a roadmap towards overcoming the technical, regulatory, and industry challenges to blockchain adoption. 4 viable use cases will be discussed, providing updates on progress while also exploring unresolved challenges where technical standards can help advance broader adoption of blockchain technology. The use cases have one theme in common: enabling patients to own access and manage their health information derived from all sources, collecting it throughout the health ecosystem, and include patient-centric identity for clinical trial patient recruitment, tracking and tracing of the clinical trial supply chain, clinical trial data integrity and provenance, closing the disconnect between medical and clinical to advance clinical research, clinical grade IoT and wearable data validation and interoperability with the patient's identity or other entities on the blockchain for the use of patient recruitment in clinical research. As a patient advocate, I believe blockchain technology can restore digital trust and privacy and help to uncover opportunities that can lead to the development of new treatments for patients with rare diseases, explains Jean Barnett, founder, CFTtechnology.org, advocating for patients to have the ability and the right to manage their health information is a great benefit for the many cystic fibrosis patients I represent. And I look forward to sharing my experiences with fellow patient advocacy groups and participants at the upcoming IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials Forum. The IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials Forum is an educational workshop. Participants will have access to expert-led sessions, engage in ideation, and collaborate in working groups towards building the roadmap for blockchain for clinical trials adoption. Day one of the forum will focus on challenges and opportunities around wearables and medical IoT interoperability and intelligence in clinical trials research use cases, while days 2 and 3 will focus on blockchain for clinical trials and research. Given the interactive nature of the forum, seating is limited. So let me kind of encapsulate what's going on here. The distributed ledger technology, DLT, or blockchain is the focus here as to how to enable or how to empower patients from a emerging technology like blockchain. So you have these clinical trials that are going on, and you need to actually privatize the data and make the data that's sensitive more secure, while at the same time allowing the patient to own its data from start to finish, right? Own their identity from start to finish. This is actually a really robust way of how to use blockchain technology in healthcare. Clinical trials could include, sleep trials, drug researches, from like cannabis, marijuana, things of that nature, opioid addictions, things like Viagra and other sort of ED, erectile dysfunction trials, things that may be a little bit more embarrassing to come into an office for. They're talking about leveraging blockchain, artificial intelligence, in the IoT aspect. So an IoT would be something like an Apple smartwatch, right? Or a Fitbit tracker watch, right? So something that tracks your pace, your steps, and stuff like that. But something more advanced could be an Apple smartwatch that's monitoring your health vitals, right? How if you're on a clinical trial and you took some form of medication that they may have prescribed to you as a part of the trial, they could actually determine what your heart rate was prior to you engaging in the trial and during the trial as it goes on. And at the end of the trial, they can grab all of that data from the IoT device, the Apple smartwatch, the Samsung Galaxy watch as well, and put all that data on the blockchain and drive it down the blockchain to them in a secure fashion, and use artificial intelligence to manage all of this data and do data correlation and give a better result, taking the human element out of it altogether. So there's a lot of opportunity that can come out of that. All right, so let me go back to this next page, to the beginning page, and let me go down these standards. All right, the IEEE initiative to build consensus on optimizing clinical trials and enhancing patient safety with blockchain. Today, blockchain is emerging as a technology that can revolutionize the process of ensuring data integrity. In the position paper, Blockchain Technology for Improving Clinical Research Quality, Mehdi Benchkov, one of the forum's expert faculty members, and Felipe Ravud, director of the INSERM Epidemiology and Biostatistics Research Center in Paris, outlined the complex flows of heterogeneous data and metadata that circulate in a clinical trial and demonstrate the numerous healthcare stakeholders and documentation that can be stored safely and securely in the blockchain. IEEE is the ideal protagonist in convening technologists and clinical experts to evaluate and advance viable applications of blockchain for clinical trials use cases that will lead to enhanced patient safety and innovate the drug development lifecycle, said Dr. Tim Mackey, co-chair of the IEEE Standards Association Supply Chain Clinical Trials Industry Connections Program. Thus far, stakeholder interest in the initiative and the upcoming IEEE Blockchain for Clinical Trials Forum is strong, and we encourage even broader participation and input from vested healthcare and regulatory partners in order to identify pertinent issues and more viable use cases that can help us advance industry-wide adoption. So what they're talking about in this, at least in this Standards Association white paper based or this press release, is basically that blockchain can be utilized to collect vital information to enable patient safety, right? So you're not getting the thing about blockchain, for those of you who don't understand, is that blockchain is immutable. So that information that goes into the blockchain won't be tampered with. So it's based on that, and that's what they're talking about. Data integrity, right? The immutability of the blockchain itself makes it provides that level of integrity. Now you combine that with the patient health records on there, or the patient health information that's on there, then you have something. Then you have a legitimate instrument on your hands. So generating all this data and then only having to scrape the metadata. Metadata is basically not the actual physical data, but the data that's visible to the eye, right? So you don't have to actually have a one-for-one copy. You just need to have the scraping of the top of the data. It's kind of like having a fingerprint. That would be considered metadata. All right, let me go back. All right. Johnny Blaze asked a question: do you see blockchain interfacing with EHR? Yes, that's what they're talking about doing here, Johnny Blaze. That's exactly what they're talking about. All right, this next one is, actually, this is not the next one. Oh, actually, it is. IEEE releases findings from first detailed study of blockchain adoption in the pharmaceutical enterprise. IEEE, the world's largest technical professional organization dedicated to advancing technology for humanity, and the IEEE Standards Association today announced the upcoming publication of a report entitled "The State of Blockchain Adoption on the Pharmaceutical Supply Chain." The independent study, a first of its kind, examines the barriers and perceived benefits of adopting the technology, with insights from industry executives currently exploring use cases or testing blockchain in their operations. The study cuts to the core of key protocol and process questions, addressing barriers to advancing industry-wide consideration and adoption of the technology. The unique study further highlights IEEE's commitment to better understand the pharmaceutical industry's concerns with adopting new technologies in their heavily regulated and complex global supply chain operation, said Tim Mackey, co-chair of the IEEE's SA's Supply Chain Clinical Trials Technology Implementation Industry Connections Program. This formal evaluation of the challenges and benefits of a blockchain is a valuable information resource for the IEEE, as well as regulators, technology developers, and the industry. That further emphasizes a need for more awareness, education to help build consensus for standards development and advances in enterprise adoption. The framework for the study originated with common themes unveiled at the first IEEE Farmer Supply Chain Forum, which took place on the 6th of June 2017 on campus of Johns Hopkins University in Rockville, Maryland. Forum attendees included regulators and executives from manufacturers, wholesalers, and dispensaries. Key partners on the pharmaceutical supply chain exploring how blockchain can optimize operations and better secure supply chain to combat the rising epidemic of counterfeit medicine. The US-based study reached 300 qualified executives familiar with blockchain applications on the pharmaceutical supply chain and highlights the confidence level of trust among trusted partners in autonomous decentralized system, as well as exploring the dynamics of finance, data ownership, and beneficiaries. The intended purpose of the study is to expose what is needed to increase confidence in the technology and advance its adoption to achieve the desired outcome of securing and optimizing the pharmaceutical supply chain and ultimately improving upon patient care. More information regarding the study is available on IEEE's blockchain website. So what they're talking about here is pharmaceutical industry is very vulnerable to attacks, industrial espionage. And because of that, they're talking about leveraging the blockchain for putting intellectual property, manufacturing process, uh, um, and all sorts of trusted information onto the blockchain so that bad guys or threat actors cannot go into the environment and exploit it, so that from the start of the manufacturing process to the brand of whoever's going to resell it, right? There's always these resellers, right? These various brands that want to resell aspirin and things of that nature, and all the way to the store, all the way from the logistics aspect of going from, you know, the manufacturing process to the loading dock, and from the loading dock all the way to the retail, and from the brand, et cetera, all the way up to the shelf through a QR code, right? So that's what they're talking about leveraging blockchain for in the pharmaceutical industry. What's happening in Africa right now on the continent is that people are being sold drugs that are counterfeit, right? You got a lot of people on the continent who are looking for, you know, HIV medicines and other forms of medicines on the continent that are actually being counterfeit. It's basically just sugar pills, for that matter. And if not sugar pills, you know, a placebo, it could be something worse, right? It could just be some kind of opioid that they're selling them, repackaged with a V on it that says Viagra, or some other fibrosis drug that some woman probably needed because she was sick and she didn't have a whole lot of money to actually go to America or Britain or the European Union and pay for, you know, these expensive drugs. So that's what we're doing with here. All right, let me move on to the next article. All right, this next. Hmm. All right, that's just a repeat of what we already read. All right. All right, this next one is the IEEE launches world's first virtual blockchain workshop dedicated to advancing health tech for humanity. I, the IEEE SA has partnered with precision medicine and patient-centric experts and platform providers to bring the first ever virtual blockchain workshop, which welcomes healthcare practitioners, researchers, scientists, patient advocates, incentive designers, developers, students, and entrepreneurs interested in making an impact toward some of the real-world challenges in healthcare today. As a unifying force and a catalyst for advancing technology innovation and implementation, IEEE is ideally positioned to bring diverse stakeholders in the blockchain ecosystem together to build consensus, support the standardization process, focus on education, and help advance blockchain technology, said Greg Adamson, chair, IEEE Blockchain Special Interest Group, and president of the IEEE Society on Social Implications of Technology. This event is perfectly timed as it seeks to advance the understanding via real world usage of the potential of distributed ledger technologies precisely when healthcare and life sciences industries are actively assessing the massive value of longitudinal health data exchange. If all goes to plan, outcomes and learnings from this collaborative event will make real impact on the efficiency of its adoption curve, said Michael Dillion, CEO of Ubase Incorporated, creator of a personal health information exchange layer, Pixel, that utilizes distributed ledger technologies. We're delighted to participate in the IEEE Virtual Blockchain Workshop for Health Tech. We see blockchain as a valuable general purpose technology whose applications go far beyond the current focus in the finance sector, said Dr. Gideon Greenspan, founder and CEO, Coin Sciences Limited. Blockchain is suitable for creating shared immutable databases in any field, and healthcare is undoubtedly an area with deep potential. Participants in the IEEE SA's Advancing Health Tech for Humanity virtual blockchain workshop will gain a better understanding of several of the key challenges related to healthcare, develop a base level understanding of blockchain technology, and receive support to leverage participating blockchain platforms available on the market today. Workshop challenges focus on areas such as patient anonymity, addressing the problem of counterfeit medicines and patient-driven interoperability. Specific challenges for the virtual workshop include: how can we use blockchain-related technologies to drive patient-driven interoperability? Can blockchain technology facilitate incentivization of data sharing between patients and researchers? Exploring the use of blockchain technology to secure the drug supply chain against counterfeit medicines. Can the healthcare blockchain be used as a platform to aggregate the many different data stores patient data they live on? This is an innovative event that increases both awareness and potentially game-changing technology in the context of real issues that the industry faces, said Professor Kevin Clausen, PharmD and Associate Professor at the College of Pharmacy at Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. This is a great opportunity to make a real impact, and we are excited to be a part of it. Experts, by having experts involved, we decrease the time to possibly solve identified problems while increasing relevant and in-demand field skill sets. Added Professor Timothy Mackey, PhD Director of GHPI and Assistant Professor of Anesthesiology and global public health at University of California, San Diego School of Medicine. So what they're talking about doing is having this virtual workshop, but looking at all of the use cases possible to not just enable, but to advance the state of healthcare in terms of data sharing interoperability. So when they talk about interoperability, how do you go from like Blue Cross Blue Shield to Aetna? How do you go from the Cleveland Clinic to VA Medical, right? There's no real interoperability, even between veteran assistance facilities. The VA hospital in Chicago is going to be vastly different than the VA hospital in, let's say, Colorado. They don't even talk to each other. So how do you get these two systems who should talk to each other, who should be able to talk to each other, actually communicate with each other in a more secure fashion without actually taking a big risk? Well, blockchain is actually coming in for that very reason. So blockchain is coming in for that very reason. Um, and again, they talk about counterfeit medicines, right? We know on the continent, like I was speaking about earlier, there was a lot of counterfeit drugs happening on the continent, a lot of bootlegging going on the continent where bad guys, threat actors, uh, these criminal organizations are making big profits by creating these false medicines or these counterfeit medicines that typically, it could be something that's as complex as a cancer fighting drug or a diabetic drug, and they could just be selling you, Tylenol or some other form of aspirin. And Johnny Blaze is confirmed that the VA and the military hospitals don't talk. That's a big problem. They just don't talk to each other. But how do you get them to talk to each other if you had the opportunity? So in this regard, you would use something like blockchain, and they're evaluating this right now through the IEEE Standards Association. All right, so that's the news there. I'm not going to go over all of these, but I'm just going to kind of highlight what we're looking at here. So blockchain for agriculture, they're talking about this right now, or at least they were. It's on their docket. So blockchain for agriculture, engineering cannabis in the chat, who comes on the panel every now and then, talks about leveraging blockchain technology for marijuana cannabis development. So that's a part of agriculture. And again, they talk about blockchain for clinical trials. This is really, really big right now. I was at the event, so I know what they're talking about. This is just posted on their site, though, but this gives you perspective as to what exactly they're talking about in terms of blockchain development. Pharma supply blockchain. So again, we talked about this earlier. Big pharmaceutical companies produce drugs that are being counterfeited and bootlegged around the world, and then they're being resold to people on eBay and places like that. Or at least on eBay years ago they used to do that, but I know now that you have these rogue online stores that are selling Viagra and Levitra and Cialis, and it's not real. You be careful buying that type of stuff, because you take some of these counterfeit drugs and you may end up with a bad headache. All right, let me go down some of these projects. So these are the active standard yeah, these are the active standard projects, and standard for general requirements for cryptocurrency exchanges. That's what conversations that they're having and the projects that they're working on. Standard for security management for customer cryptographic assets on cryptocurrency exchanges. Standard for user identification and anti-money laundering on cryptocurrency exchanges. So that's what they're talking about, leveraging blockchain for that very use case of anti-money laundering. This is huge because on Wall Street, money laundering goes on all the time. We know this from HSBC and Bank of Santander. Santander, which I think is a Spanish bank from Europe, actually has a lot of these issues. They were found to be money laundering for drug cartels. So blockchain can actually help and aid in this area. Standard for distributed decentralized exchange framework using DLT, distributed ledger technology. Standard for custodian framework of cryptocurrencies. It's pretty self-explanatory. Standard for the use of blockchain in anti-corruption applications and or for centralized organizations. Recommended practice for e-invoice businesses using blockchain technology. So they're basically just talking about taking these invoices, these electronic invoices that you may see, like a bill of lading and things like that, that should not be modified, and putting it on the blockchain so that it can't be modified, right? It's not uncommon that a retail outfit or some other outfit that's receiving a pallet full of goods may receive the wrong pallet, may receive the wrong goods, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or make modifications to it. This is going to go away with blockchain. All right. Standard for general process of cryptocurrency payment. We already know about that. Standard for cryptocurrency, standard for risk control requirements of for cryptocurrency payment and data. Standard for framework blockchain-based IoT, Internet of Things, data management. This is going to be huge because IoT devices generate a lot of data on their own and they're pretty autonomous, right? They don't have any real human interaction. So you would need blockchain as an enabler to actually manage the immutability, the data integrity of those IoT devices so that they cannot be spoofed by bad guys, right? Standard for functional requirements in blockchain-based Internet of Things data management. Standard for assessment of blockchain-based Internet of Things data management. These are projects, keep that in mind. Standard for framework of blockchain use in Internet of Things. All right, standard for a framework of distributed ledger technology use in agriculture. We talked about that earlier. Standard for framework distributed ledger technology use in connected and autonomous vehicles. Connected and autonomous vehicles. So now they're talking about drones and cars that are autonomous, big trucks moving down highways that generate lots of data on the fly. How much braking, how much speed, road conditions, weather, stop and go, all types of environmental data that is collecting on the fly. All of that stuff has to be put into a secure location because if they're functioning on a network, right, what they call a platoon, you have a convoy of vehicles that are communicating with each other, that data has to be secure. If one truck sends bad data to the rest of the 100 vehicles on the highway, you're going to have a major pileup. Bad guys would love to exploit something like that because then they can actually cause a traffic jam and cause chaos inside of an urban center. That would be a huge catastrophe because now you won't have first responders, ambulance, EMT, firefighters, police departments able to respond because of a traffic pileup of autonomous vehicles because they've been hijacked by nefarious forces. Same thing with drone technology. You have a whole bunch of drones flying around in the air, UAVs, that basically are delivering all these packages for UPS, FedEx, Amazon, Uber Eats, and so on and so forth. What happens if all of those drones, 500 to 1,000 drones, get hijacked and weaponized to fly into, let's say, the White House or something like that, or some other venue like a marathon or a high school football game or even a major NFL football game? A lot of opportunities for bad guys to get involved in this, and that's why you need blockchain to protect that information that is generated by the connected devices and autonomous vehicles. All right. Standard for blockchain energy. A standard for blockchain in energy, I should say. So obviously you have electricity, gas that goes to your house. A lot of that information could be tampered with. So maintain the integrity of energy to and from the customer and the customer back to the utility provider is actually a pretty good use case. Standard for the framework of distributed ledger technology used in healthcare and the life and social sciences. We talked about that earlier. Standard for the use of blockchain in supply chain finance. Yeah, we talked about that earlier, right? The supply chain aspect is really huge in terms of what kind of goods you get and the integrity of the goods itself. We know that there are fake pairs of Jordans and True Religion jeans and things of that nature out there. But how, if you're a brand and you're trying to protect the intellectual property of your product and the integrity of your product, how do you do that? Well, blockchain is actually going to help you with that. All right. Standard for the blockchain use of standard for the blockchain applications in governments. We know that the government is one of the most weakest areas of data integrity. They're always getting attacked because they're a big target. Blockchain is actually going to help in these areas by securing it. Standard for cryptocurrency-based security tokens. Standard for blockchain-based digital asset management. That's actually pretty good. Think of digital asset management as if I'm a hip hop producer and I produce 1,000 beats, but I haven't released them. All I have to do is if I had Fruity Loops or some other sort of software, what I could do is plug in blockchain into Fruity Loops to a plugin, and every time, as soon as I produce the beat, it's been copywritten and put onto the blockchain. So digital asset now. So now nobody can claim the rights to that beat. All of the melodies and the notes and whatnot of that beat that's been composed and produced is actually going to be on it, and it's going to have the signature right on it. So that's actually a key area for hip hop artists to actually leverage blockchain for that very use. Whoever in hip hop leverages blockchain first will be a pioneer behind this. More than likely, it'll probably be Jay-Z or Eminem. Maybe Dallas Austin. Guide for interoperability of transactive energy systems with electric power infrastructure. So we talked about this a few seconds ago. Electric power infrastructure, the way energy is delivered has to be secure. You don't want customers being overbilled or underbilled for their usage of energy. All right. I see no one's getting on the panel, so let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Yeah, it could be Dion Alexander. Dion Alexander says, I think Ryan Leslie will be the first to implement it. Nipsey was looking like he was on the verge to do so, working with him. I don't know much about Nipsey's intellectual capabilities with his music, but anything is possible. Yeah, guys like the RZA from Wu-Tang, those guys are always up on the money when it comes to technology. So it wouldn't surprise me if somebody like RZA, Lupe Fiasco, Chameleonaire, and some of these other guys, man, who are involved in the tech, um, take advantage of blockchain at some point and start putting all their catalogs on the blockchain. Um, we only have 20 likes in the room. Can we at least? We have 26 people watching. Can we get to 6 likes, please? Um, 27 people watching. Yeah, Gabe, I would actually disagree with you on that. RZA has been involved in the development of a lot of musical products, such as like Akai. He worked with, if I remember correctly, he either worked with Yamaha or Akai on a keyboard. I think the Roland. They actually built it after working with him on the electronic keyboard. I have to look that up, but he's actually been very instrumental. And if you think about the DJs have changed the way turntables were even made back in the 80s. The Newmark and some of these other companies had to design a specific turntable just for hip hop DJs because the way how they were being used. So I understand what you're saying, that they worry about the consumer side, but they do work hand in hand in the musical industry, in the musical technology industry. And what I'm saying is, whoever has their ear to the street, of the technology will be the first one to implement it. They're usually pretty smart about this type of stuff. They're usually they're usually at South by Southwest, and they're really engaged in these discussions. So I'd be interested in seeing what happens. What would be the advantage of putting your music on the blockchain? Is that the same? Is that the same because where the cryptocurrency is at? Imagine, right, streaming money, right? You put your content onto the blockchain, the lyrics and everything else. It can't be jacked by anybody. So if you spit a freestyle and it ends up on the blockchain, on your own blockchain, then what happens here is the radio industry, all of these streaming companies have to pipe into that blockchain through an API, and the money that will be generated from every single spin or every single like, for that matter, right? You can monetize the likes onto the blockchain, and you can confirm that each and every individual is authentic. There's a lot that's going to go on that can go into hip hop in the blockchain, because for years artists have been getting jacked by these big corporations. Now you're your own corporation, and now with cryptocurrencies and the blockchain and what do you call it, artificial intelligence, it can data mine and give artists all of the information necessary and do the deciphering on whether or not it should spend this many times, or where it should play, and so on and so forth. It can do all it can leverage. The technology can be replacing the old legacy record labels, all in lines of code. This is unprecedented. No one's ever seen or even thought of something like this. Yeah, Mike Rizzi's right. Mike Rizzi's right. Even if you go to like Wu-Tang's double CD, that double CD actually is an interactive CD. So if you plugged it into a computer, there was actually some interactive content on the CD itself. A lot of people didn't know that. If you plugged it into an IBM or a Mac computer, the CD would spin up really fast, but the content of the Wu-Tang would actually be presented on your computer screen. Yeah, Dion's hitting the nail on the head. He's hitting the nail on the head with this. So now you're talking about streaming money. You're talking about as soon as you get a like, you get 95 cents or 90 cents or whatever it is that's good, that the you get an XRP token or whatever it is. You can tokenize your music per bar, per verse, per hook, per snare, for that matter, if you're a producer. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. No one's ever thought of anything like this. This will get rid of ASCAP and BMI. You wouldn't even need them anymore, because all that money is going to go right back to you anyways. If you set up a digital wallet, put your content out there, and it's just crazy. It's just so crazy. This blockchain stuff, man, this is why we talk about it, man. This is just crazy. I mean, back in the day, back in the 2000s, Lil Flip, made $1 million off of ringtones. I mean, now nobody uses a ringtone anymore. I mean, it's kind of unheard of, at least in 2019. Nobody really uses ringtones. However, imagine you have a phone with your digital wallet on it, and all the content you're producing, man, your phone just keeps buzzing because you're receiving all these royalties on the fly. Yep, Jay Green cutting the big label middleman. Yep, cut them right out of the game. Yeah, cats got to get up on this type of stuff, man. We got to really have like big discussions with people who look like us, man, about this type of stuff, because the record labels have been, these non-melanated record companies and stuff like that, man. They've been jacking cats for years. There's rappers right now living in the back of their cars, man, because they didn't get their royalties. They never got their checks. Now with the technology, they can reclaim all of this stuff. Prince, when he changed his name to TapCap, the artist formerly known as Prince, he was fighting against all of this type of stuff, right? He was fighting against the big labels and whatnot, trying to shake him down until he got his royalties back, until he got his masters back. Yep, Dion is right. Dion's hitting the nail on the head. Smart contracts play the middleman. Yep, that's what this is about. That's exactly what this is about. Back in the day, artists were only getting 5 to 10 cents or 20 cents on a royalty. Now you're talking about getting 100% of your royalties through a cryptocurrency, and you don't have to pay taxes. If you're outside of the United States, you wouldn't have to pay taxes. So now you're getting 100% of your royalties. Rappers who are only getting 360 deals, the blockchain eliminates 360 deals altogether. You won't need it anymore. The whole 360 deal would cease to exist unless you're stupid enough and ignorant and didn't know any better. You would only sign up for that then. But come now, imagine how many R&B artists and whatnot would still be around had we jumped on blockchain 10 years ago. End night, what's the guarantee that Bitcoin stop at 21 million? Could Satoshi not modify the code? I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow blockchain all that much. Probably is to my own detriment. I should probably follow it more, but the point of the matter here is that I don't have an answer to that question, since we're not talking about cryptocurrencies in particular. Yeah, Dion's hitting the nail on the head in the chat, man. He's really going in. Yeah, I get real excited when I start talking about this type of stuff because it's real. It's real. Even if you are somebody who did a guest feature, or you help somebody do a hook. You know how many people who are sitting on the sidelines right now who wrote music and didn't get any royalties for it, and sitting at home on someone's couch broke because they didn't get their just due. They didn't get their credit. or how many producers probably produce beats and whatnot, or help produce a beat and didn't get any credit for it? How many R&B artists probably did a hook, didn't get any credit for it? Yeah, this is a game changer, man. Digital asset management, man. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Back in the day, guys used to sell music out the trunk. Now you sell music out your pocket, man. It's crazy. With QR codes, and you tying it in with different sort of, because when we talk about blockchain, at least from the articles that we just read, we're talking about interoperability. So imagine, um, you sell out small venues and stuff like that, and you have Ticketmaster and StubHub and all these other ticketing agencies tied in with your blockchain as an artist, and then the smart contracts make the formal agreements, or the pre agreements, that whatever percentage you're supposed to get from ticket sales actually goes to you. So if you're only supposed to get 20 or 25% or whatever it is, your smart contract is going to agree to all that, and you're going to have streaming money coming in. Yeah, the European Union, Dion Alexander, is talking about, I think Malta was talking about putting their patents on the blockchain. Different artists have different blockchains, or have their own blockchains, and they all connect them together. Um, and what that does is it allows you to do guest features, making things more simple. Because before, a label may have said, you can only work with certain artists who are within the contract binding agreements that you made with the record label that you signed to. With blockchain, you wouldn't have to do that anymore. You can plug your blockchain into somebody else's blockchain through an API, and have the royalties be streaming in almost instantly. Instantly. Jibba Jabba says, performing artists, so everything can be done digitally from production to payment. Marketing and self promotion is key. Yeah, the artificial intelligence will do the promoting for you. They'll spam all the social media platforms, and actually probably send um, you know push alerts to people's smartphones, right? Android and iPhone. Push these alerts to people's smartphones saying that, the new such and such just dropped, 30 seconds ago. Everybody will get that same exact alert at the same time. And as soon as they click on it to play it and hit that like button, they're going to get, the artist is going to get the royalties immediately. For years, Black people have been getting ripped off. Now it's a game changer now. Yep. Dion's hitting the nail on the head again. Yeah, Dion Alexandria, we haven't really been the ones controlling and driving the technology as we should have, right? We've just been users of the technology. I think that's what Gabe A is trying to get at, that we just been the consumers at the consumerization has been our thing, but not the actual developing and driving the technology. So I don't disagree with Gabe on that, but I do think that there is a urgency for us to have a deeper conversation on how we control all of our content, all of our digital assets. Or even guest features in rap videos and stuff like that. Um, a person ends up in a guest feature on a video, and you may not even say anything. You might have just came through the shoot, but because of the facial recognition software embedded in some of the video, um, some of the content production software would allow that person to receive a royalty as long as their face has been recognized inside some of these videos. And that's instant money right into their right over the blockchain. So instead of waiting for the credits to roll at the end, you're getting credits right at the beginning. Wow, we got a thumbs down. Just unbelievable. We were doing well until mhm. Yeah, Dion's hitting the nail on the head in the chat. He says social media, but now we're seeing the web 3.0 in front of us. Hey, what's going on, Complex?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Oh, chilling, man, chilling.
Hey, yeah, I had to give ourselves a thumbs down, man.
Oh yeah?
No, I didn't do that.
You probably did do it though.
Huh?
You probably did do it.
I didn't do it. But shout out to the cat who did though.
No, it's probably that that high performing capitalist guy, getting banned everywhere. But
Yikes. Well, shout out to that guy.
But yeah, so IEEE Blockchain Standards Association, they had some pretty dope content and use cases for blockchain and standardization. Definitely check out the link. Go through some of the content. You don't have to read everything; just kind of breeze over it. It gives you a synopsis on what they see coming down the pike and some of the stuff that they're trying to standardize, how it's going to impact, what the social impact is on people in poverty or low income people, things of that nature. I do, we've been talking about this the last 15 minutes or so, but I do see blockchain and hip hop being a mega game changer.
I mean, blockchain everything, man. You know,
Yeah,
it's going to be a new way of accounting for your creations.
yeah.
You know.
Mhm. All right. Thank you all for joining us, man. Please hit the like button if you have not already done so. Share the video if possible, and hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. Document in the description beneath the video, that one link. Make sure you kind of just get a wide angle view of what they're talking about, standardization from the IEEE in terms of blockchain and distributed ledger technology.
Man, are you telling me I caught the tail end again?
Yeah.
God damn it. All right. Damn it.
Yeah. Well, we're 75 minutes in, so.
Okay. All right. Okay. What do we got on the docket for tomorrow and Saturday?
Saturday, tomorrow's economics, but Saturday is Black Healthcare Talk. So we're gonna be talking about telehealth in the Black community.
Okay.
The opportunities that's going to come out of that and how it can benefit people in the new emerging technologies. And then we also have Black Tech Talk again. We're going to be focusing on blockchain.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. I have you know what, man? I'll text it to you. I have a question, but I'll text it to you.
A question about technology, or?
No. It's basically a topic idea.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll text it to you.